Yeah. Why is this not plugging in? Hmm. All right. I call this woman back from yesterday. Trying to get her on the line. It's not dialing out for some reason. Let me try one more time. I hopped off the Wi-Fi just in case. Usually that does it. Let's see. Man, just have pretty poor service right now, I guess. Man, that's fucking frustrating. There it goes. Hey, Connie.
Yes.
Connie, how's it going? This is Derek. We spoke yesterday. Meaning to give you a call back before I left the office, but I just got caught up. So I wanted to give you a call today, see if I could steal a few minutes. Did I catch you at a good time?
Well, I'm in a store, but that's okay. Go ahead.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, I just wanted to ask about the property over on Avenue M. Um,
Can you hear me okay? I have to put you on speakerphone.
sure, no problem. Yep.
Probably you, but I want you to be able to hear me too.
Yeah, I can. Can you hear me?
Sort of.
Okay, okay.
Okay. So I was thinking about retiring
Okay.
sometime in the near future, not right away by any means,
Uh-huh.
and selling my house and moving.
Yeah.
So here's my question: is like once if I agree to sell my house, how long do I have before I have to be out of it by sign with you?
So that's a great question. It's something that we can really work on your timeline with. We can, what I like to do personally is set a closing date. Let's say we come to an agreement on everything, all the terms, the price, and everything like that. We can set a closing date in the future. You know, I don't know what your timeline is looking like, but let's just say 90 days down the line, we can set that closing date and put the agreement in place now, and then kind of just put the wording in the agreement to say, if we are able to close sooner than that, then we will, right? So that way, we're not having to go back and rewrite up any more agreements just to extend the closing date. Rather, we would set it for a date farther out, and then if we're able to close before that, then everything's good. Does that make sense?
Okay. Are you familiar with the houses in South Houston?
Yeah, we like the area. Me and my partner, we're working kind of the South Houston, Pasadena area right now. So I don't know if I mentioned it yesterday, but we're looking to pick up a couple more properties in the area there. We can pay cash. And really, working with your timeline is another benefit that we like to offer as well. So it's not like get it done now. So I'm glad that you have an idea of what you'd want to do. Did you have a timeline in place of when you think you'd want to
No,
retire?
I just started thinking about this.
Hmm. Yeah. So I mean,
And so whatever I buy has to come from the sale of my house.
okay, okay. Yeah, that
It's
would,
not going to be in here.
okay. Do you have an idea of where you'd want to move?
You ever heard of Brownwood?
No, I'm not familiar.
In the middle of Texas.
Okay. All right, cool. Yeah. And so to kind of address that, something that we can do if it's something that you need it to, like you said, to use the proceeds of the sale of this property to be able to put down either down payment or purchase the new property. What we can do is set up a post possession agreement where essentially you would get a large portion of the proceeds from the sale of this house, but then we can put in an agreement to allow you to stay in the property for a certain period of time. That way you can take the money from the sale, put it down towards your next property, and just allow you a little bit more time to transition a bit smoother as opposed to, closing on the property, paying you, and then expecting you to be out that same day, if that makes sense.
Hmm. Okay, what did you call the agreement?
I'm sorry, post possession agreement. Essentially, it would turn the relationship into kind of a landlord tenant relationship where
And
it's a
pay
little.
with,
I'm sorry.
and then I would pay rent.
Yeah, but you wouldn't necessarily have to pay it. It would just get withheld from what would be owed to you from the proceeds.
No, no, I'm not going to do that.
Okay. Did you have a kind of an idea of how you'd like to transition into the new place?
Say that again.
Did you have a kind of an idea of how you would like to transition into your new place? Because you were saying that you were wanting to use the proceeds, correct?
A friend of mine, um, a friend of mine and her husband owned a house,
Hmm.
and they, I don't exactly remember how they did it, but the purchase of the new house was contingent upon the sale of the existing house.
Mm.
There was no rental agreement or anything like that.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it sounds pretty similar. I don't want to kind of. I know the post possession and the landlord tenant verbiage is can be intimidating, but it sounds very similar.
Not
Where,
intimidating. I'm not paid. Not doing that. Not intimidating at all. I'm not doing it.
yeah,
I'm not throwing away money.
no, that's fine. That's fine. And just to kind of revisit that, you wouldn't be throwing away money, and we would prorate it. So let's say we give you the 30 days to find a new place or to use the money from the proceeds of the sale to put down towards your new place, but you find a new place within the week and you're moved out within the week. We could prorate
No,
it. So,
no, 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 no. That's not going to happen.
okay. I mean,
No,
that's
it's
fine.
not.
That's completely fine. I just want you to understand, where I'm coming from. And if you step into my shoes, it's difficult for us to pay you for the house and then just kind of take your word for it that that you'll use the proceeds and then vacate the property, if that makes sense. So it's just a little bit of security for us, is all.
Okay, but what you're talking about won't work for me.
Okay, that's fine. And we can talk about it. We can figure out what would work for you. But just yeah, I just wanted to put it out there. That's where I'm coming from. That's where we're coming from. It's just because it is an investment for us, right? And we have to protect our investment. And the last thing that, I'm not saying that this is what you would do, but the last thing that we would want to happen is to buy the property and then not actually have access to it because you're still in it, if that makes sense.
That's why I was asking about the time frame of once the purchase of the deal was made. You know, what would be the time frame for you to take possession of the house and for me to vacate the house?
Yeah, so in terms of, so I think we're talking about two different timelines here. One timeline is how long will it take to actually close on the property? The second timeline is, now that we have closed on the property and you have gotten paid, how long it would take to use the proceeds from the sale to find a new place and to vacate the property. Now,
That sounds close, but yeah.
yeah, in terms of the first timeline, we can work with you on your schedule. There's no immediate rush for us to buy the property. Obviously we would like to do it sooner rather than later, but we completely understand your timeline and we want to work with you. But if you're needing to use the proceeds of this sale, then technically we would have to pay you before you leave the property, right? And that's why we like to set up that post possession agreement.
Let me ask you something. Do you sell houses also?
I'm sorry?
So do you sell houses also?
Yeah, yeah. So we invest these.
Okay. All right. So think about the other direction.
Sure.
Okay. If I wanted to buy a house from you, and I was trying to sell my house to buy a house from you,
Mm-hmm.
okay, how would that work for y'all? Okay, I've decided I want this house that you have, and I need to sell my house to have the money to buy your house. How would that work time-wise?
To be honest with you, we would just wait until you had the money. You know what I mean? Especially with how hot
But
the
the house
market.
would still be for sale.
I'm sorry?
You'd still be showing the house, etc.
Correct, correct. But just to be honest with you, with how hot the market is right now and how much, people are bidding up, you know, the price of the homes, to be quite honest with you, if somebody were to come with that type of an offer to buy a property that I was selling, I would just look to somebody else who had the money on hand.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? I wouldn't want to wait for somebody with all these contingencies where there is likely another offer where they're ready to put the down payment
Okay.
down.
I'm getting another call that I have to take.
Sure.
Okay. You there, Kingston?
I'm,
I can't get you on hold. Okay. Are you there?
yep, I'm here.
What?
Yep, can you hear me?
Okay, I thought you were going.
I'm here.
Okay, I have to take this other call.
Sure, sure. When's a more appropriate time? It seems like you may not be ready to since you're kind of just figuring out
Never
the.
mind. I hung up. Never mind.
Okay, okay. Now, am I making?
No, that's why I said that I just started looking into
Right,
this.
right, right. Now, I would love to when we get closer, and I don't have a problem at all having the conversation. I'd like to get on the same page. It seems like we're already kind of making some good headway here and figuring out what the other person, would like in the transaction here. But I'd love to kind of reconnect when you've kind of figured out a little bit more of a concrete timeline for you, so that we can dig a little bit deeper, figure out. I'd love to learn about the condition of the property, stuff of that nature, and then we can kind of refine the timeline, make sure that it's a timeline that works for the both of us, so that you can transition comfortably. Again, the last thing that I want to do, and I just want to make that clear, is have you get put out on the street, right? I, I'm very willing to work with you on your timeline, and I know that you're saying that you're not wanting to do the post possession agreement. Completely understand, and I'd love to try to come up with some other alternative method to be able to again get you paid for this property so that you can use that money. And that's something that we do often. It's a very very common situation that a lot of owner occupied properties or owner occupied property owners face. Right? They don't have 100,000 sitting in their bank account so that they can buy a property and then essentially own two properties before they sell the first one, right? So it is very
Right.
common. It comes up very often. Again, especially for owner occupied properties. Now, if it was like a rental of yours and you didn't actually live there, then it'd be a different story, right? You wouldn't have an issue with just selling it without the other post possession agreement in place. So I just wanted to throw that out there as well. It's something that we do
Uh-huh.
very frequently. It's very common. Um, you can look into it, and that's why I'd like to maybe reconnect at a later date when it's a little bit closer to when you think that you'd be ready to kind of make some moves and make the decision as to when you'd like to retire. I think that's the most important, right? The last thing also that I want is for you to make your decision on when you're going to retire. Based on when I'll be able to buy the property. So I want to work with you. I want to work with your timeline. Make sure that I'm not rushing you into selling so that you can retire quicker than you'd like to. I really just want to make sure that it's something that you're comfortable with.
Let me ask you something. Where you said you sell houses. Where what areas do you own houses?
I don't own any right now. It's
Uh,
just my partner and myself. Like I said, we're not a big company, just kind of mom and pop, if you will. We like to pick up, one, two projects every so often. The last one that we did was in Pasadena, so we like the area. We're trying to stay a little close to home of where we know the numbers and what have you. So, like I mentioned, we're looking at the South Houston, the Pasadena area right now, trying to pick up our next project.
I don't know if you know this or not, but I have noticed in the last I don't know couple month or two that people are now tearing down houses in South Houston and putting new houses there on the lot.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So it really depends. It comes to a point where if the property itself is going to require a fair amount of renovation, and the renovation cost is exceeds essentially the price of the lot of land, it would actually make more sense, which is why you're seeing that, for people to just tear down and invest a lot more money into just rebuilding new construction, because the cost of a new home makes that make sense.
What info do you have on my house?
I'm sorry.
You looked you don't okay. You didn't look at the appraisal district's info on it.
No, no, I haven't dove deep into the numbers or anything like that. I was just, calling around in the area to some homeowners to see if they had any interest in selling before I took a deep dive into the research.
How did you get my phone number anyway?
Yeah, we use a third party provider. I can only imagine that they use or get their information from public record.
My phone number's not public.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, we use a third party provider. I'm not sure. Like I said, I can only imagine or guess that they're getting it from public record, but I'm not sure how they source their data.
okay, my house is like around 900 square feet,
Hmm.
two bedroom, one bath. Built in 1953 or 1954. My parents bought it brand new, and I inherited it.
Oh, okay.
The lot's 50 by 150. It has a detached garage.
Uh-huh.
The roof is it's about 10, 15 years old now.
Okay.
It has the original hardwood floors. It does not have central. I
Hmm.
have windows. I'm walking around. I don't know if I sound kind of distracted. I am. I'm shopping.
No, no worries, no worries.
Anyway, it has 220 coming into the house. I had a new breaker box put on. I don't remember when it was, 2000 or something.
Hmm.
And I have added receptacles, for air conditioners and appliances and stuff over the years.
Hmm. Okay. All right. What type of work would you say has been done to the kitchen and the bathrooms in
It has
recent years?
not been updated.
Okay. Okay. All right. And did you see any issues with the recent storms, the snowstorms, with the plumbing or anything like that?
No.
Okay. Good. Perfect. Well, like I said, you know, we are looking to pick up a project sooner rather than later, but by no means do I say that so that, you rush your decision on when you'd like to retire. Um, why don't I, if this is something that you are comfortable with, or it kind of matches your estimated timeline, I would say, why don't I give you a call closer to the end of the year, maybe early next year, and kind of revisit, see how things are going with you and your retirement plans, and then
Well,
we.
why don't you do this? Why why don't you text me your info
Sure.
and because I get calls frequently.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah. So when we get off the phone here, I'll text you.
Mail, etc.
Yeah, exactly. I'll text you my name, number, email so that you can have that. This is my direct line. If it popped up on caller ID, this is the number that I'll be texting you. Feel free to save it. Again, my name is Derek. You can save it as, Derek Home Buyer or however you want to save it, just so that when I call again, it pops up on caller ID. And hopefully I've made a good enough impression where you don't hang up on me.
Okay.
All right. All right. It,
I actually I would love to retire before the end of the year.
oh, okay.
I would be on out of Houston before the end of the year.
Sure.
And so I have seen properties online, like on Zillow, for example,
Mm-hmm.
and then they're gone. You know, I mean, pushing. And so, I need to be able to do something quick
Mm-hmm.
whenever the time is right. And as far as like what I want to do, now would be great.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
Now would be great. You're making it all work. That's all that's
yeah, yeah, exactly. And that's what it seems like just in the conversation that we've had is that's kind of the the hurdle that we're gonna have to face here is how we can do it in a way where again it's comfortable and really hands off for you. That's my goal as well is um, to where you're not having to be so involved in the process and the moving process, anything like that. Um,
okay. That person's calling me back.
sure,
I'll
sure.
take that information.
Will
Okay.
do. Will do. I appreciate the time. Um, that woman's she's bizarre. Um, I like didn't want to waste my time with her because she was like didn't have a timeline in place. Was like retiring. I'm far out. Um, she honestly sounds like a nightmare to deal with. Um, she doesn't want to do a post possession agreement. I don't know how else she expects. I tried to have her enter my world again. Look, step into my shoes. I can't just pay you for the property and cross my fingers that you're gonna leave. That's I'm not gonna do that. So if that's something that you're wanting to do, good luck finding an investor who's gonna do that. Just like trust that you're gonna leave after they pay you for 100% of the profits on the property, right? So I think she kind of understood once I did that. Once I was like, look, step into my world. And then she was like, look, step into my world. If you were selling a property, and then I feel like I answered that perfectly. Like, if you were selling a property and I was like, look, I will buy this property, but I need to sell my property first. I was like, to be honest, I would just go with another offer because that is a weak offer. I don't, you know what I mean? Like, and she was like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Um, and then she started diving into the condition. I was just trying to address her concerns, and it seemed like that's what was taking hold of the conversation. So I'm glad that she kind of reverted to the condition of the property after I was like, yeah, I'll revisit. Again, I was just trying to push it down the road because it didn't seem like she was really ready to make a decision. Um, but then I was like, yeah, I'll revisit with you maybe towards the end of the year, learn about the conditions, kind of iron out the details. And she was like, yeah, okay, well, and then went into the condition. She told me pretty much everything I needed to know. Roofs probably doesn't need replacing, 10, 15 years old, as long as she's not lying about that. 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, 900 square feet. She, I think, exaggerated that a little bit. It's really like 830. Yeah, 830. Um, 1954. She inherited it from her parents way back when. Her motivation is she's wanting to retire, sell, and move to Brownwood, which is in the middle of Texas that I'm unfamiliar with. But no work has been done to the kitchen and bathrooms in recent year. Um, I didn't ask about the foundation. Does not have central AC. She said she did electrical work, switched out the breaker box like 20 years ago, and then added some receptacles. Um, in recent years, no issues to the plumbing due to the recent storm. I feel like she was lying about that for some reason. Everybody had issues unless you went out and wrapped your pipes. Um, she was like, no, the way that she said it, I don't know, it kind of raised an eyebrow for me. She's living there, owner occupied. She's owned it for quite some time. Um, yeah, it's time. And then she hit me with yeah, I mean, I'd really like to retire before the end of the year. So if that's the case, I want to put the agreement together now. Then I kind of flipped in my brain. I was like, oh, I need to get this done right now. Then put the agreement in place, say for closing in 60 days. And then, if we close before that, great. Then that was really all. I was getting ready to hop into the price. I was getting ready to hop into, do you owe anything on the property? Now we can pay, this is with my script. Now we can pay cash, but any mortgage balance, unpaid taxes, liens, or anything like that would have to come out of your end. Would anything like that need to be paid off the top of your head? Yeah, probably. Okay, do you have a rough idea of how much that would be? And if she tells me, this is my tactic. If she says, "Oh, I'm about 30,000 in debt. I would have to pay off like 30,000." Then let's see what it says actually in prop stream if she has any. So it looks like she owns it free and clear per prop stream, unless she has any type of unpaid taxes or anything like that. Um, let's just say, for example, oh, I would owe 30,000. It's like, then I would frame it and say, okay, so after we pay off that 30,000, how much would you want to walk away with above and beyond that? And if she's like, oh, I'd really like to walk away with 20, then she's really saying her asking price is 50, right? Um, it's just a way to, I think that people tend to not want to say a high number for that because they want to be reasonable. People want to be reasonable, right? So if I asked, if after we pay off that 30,000, how much would you want to walk away with? And she's not going to be like, I'd love to walk away with 100,000. And it's like, okay, well, you know what I mean? She's gonna say, "Oh, maybe 50 max," to where her asking price is like 80. Um, then I can talk her down from there. I think on this one, I need to be somewhere around um, 30 off of. I need to be somewhere around 55. 50,000 is my goal. I can probably come up to like 60, but that's my goal in that. And then I would have, if she didn't, I would have switched over to listing her off some comps in the area, letting her, I'm looking at some houses in the area that have sold recently, brand new, fix and flip projects. I'm talking brand new everything, and they're selling for X. What's the lowest offer you might consider? Is that negotiable? Okay, are you familiar with this street? Yes. Okay, I'm looking at this house on this street that sold in as is condition for 60,000, and which is the case, which is why I think I can go up to 60. But this one is about 100 square feet bigger. This one, is a bigger lot, built a few years newer, and so, if that one sold for 60, what do you think yours would sell for? What do you think yours is worth? And then I go into the offer, reiterate the seller pain points. I know that you're saying that you'd love to retire before the end of the year. Um, it sounds like you're really wanting to move out to Brownwood, kind of start fresh, right? Retire, leave the job, leave the house, start new somewhere else. Um, and just to reiterate, if I could come in with cash, if I could make that transition smooth for you so that you're comfortable with it, although I don't think she is, which is why I don't think this is going to happen, um, unless I can convince her that a post-possession agreement is something that it's the only way, right? So maybe she's not interested right now, but once she realizes that nobody's going to go for that, she says she gets calls all the time. So, um, if I could do this, that, and that, um, and I could make this smooth for you. I can make this comfortable where you can get out to Brownwood, you can retire, you can walk away with some money. I'd be able to offer you somewhere between 40 and 55,000 cash. If she is a favorable response with that, then I go for the close, assume the lower number, unless she says like I would take 55. Then I leverage my funding partner saying, let me place you on hold. I want to try to get my funding my finance manager on the other line real quick to try to, come up to that number. If she's at like 55, I'd say, I don't know if we'll quite be right there. I think we probably could. I think we'll, whatever the case may be. If she's not interested, then, kind of just set expectations and follow up expectations. Like, all right, I'll follow up with you in a little bit, revisit. But to be honest, she seems like a hassle to work with. I wouldn't want to work with her. She's going to be on my ass about every single thing. I can only imagine, like, once we get it to escrow, she's that type of person, very analytical. Um, she's analytical, but she's not reasonable. And that's like the worst. You know what I mean? So, anyways, I'll follow up with her. That was the only one I wanted to make today. I'm going to text her my contact information right now. And until the next one. Peace.